Welcome into Titans Today. I am your host, Brett Alper. On today's show, we're going to be talking about some NFL free agents that are still available to be signed post-2025 NFL Draft. Now, I know what you're thinking. Oh, Brett, we signed UDFAs. We have a whole bunch of draft picks. There is always room to sign a lot of players that are still available. So I have 3 of them for you on today's show. But before we get started, subscribe for Titans coverage. We got covering all news and rumors, just like today's video. When minicamp opens up and we see the first sight of Cam Ward, yeah, we're going to make a video about that. We're at 10,590 subs, trying to get to 11,000. All you need is 410. I know 410 people are going to watch this video, and not all 410 are going to be subscribed, so hit that big red sub button. Okay, so what I think the Titans' biggest needs are, you need an interior linebacker. You have your edge rushers with outside, but you did not address this position in the NFL Draft. Now, you also can go with a cornerback, and then I would say a skill position, whether that be a running back, wide receiver, any of that type of spot on the offense. You're not looking for a tight end. You signed Gunnar Helm, but I always think you could use more skill positions, as many as you possibly can. Let's get started with the first one, C.J. Mosley. We saw him with the Jets, and he was a standout linebacker the last few years. He didn't really have the best 2024 season that we've seen. Only played a couple games, and it was just not the best season for him. 17 tackles, 0 sacks, 0. But when you have a bunch of injuries, that'll happen to you. Nobody is perfect. Nobody is an Iron Man. No one's a Cal Ripken Jr. that plays so many seasons. You're going to have a season or two where you get injured. That's just the way football is. But if you look at the previous years that he's had, 2023, 2022, 2021, over 150 tackles in each of these seasons. 5 tackles for loss in the last 2. 14 PBUs. 2 forced fumbles. I really think if C.J. Mosley is healthy, he can have that impact on a thin, and I mean thin Titans interior linebacker depth chart. Cody Barton, you signed him in free agency, but then you have Otis Reese and Cedric Gray. And other than that, it's just kind of, who do we have here? Who do we have here? You go back to 2024 and you look at some of the linebackers, you had Jack Gibbons on this roster. You had all 5 of your linebackers are not returning. They're not returning. This is going to be a whole different linebacking room. So I think adding Mosley just adds a lot of depth, and especially with a veteran with a lot of leadership like C.J. Mosley, I think that would provide it bolsters your roster even better for this thin Titans linebacker room. We're sticking with the defense for number 2, and I'm going to go with a guy that was actually linked to the Titans this morning, and it was Mike Hilton, the former cornerback of the Bengals. And this is a position where the Titans also just didn't address in the NFL Draft. You addressed what you needed. You got your offensive line. You got your quarterback. You got a bunch of wide receivers. If you want to go with Gabe Davis, that'll be a different video for us, but he did just get released. He's still he's available now, so you could. But let's go back to Mike Hilton real quick. 2024, solid season for him. 73 tackles, 1 interception, 5 PBUs. And he kind of led that champion, didn't win a championship, but led the Bengals that made to the Super Bowl. He was kind of the anchor of the defense, especially in the defensive back core. And I was looking at articles, and one of the articles on NFL.com said that the Titans should focus right in on Mike Hilton. And here's what they had to say. Hilton isn't a huge name, but he was a valuable slot cornerback for the Bengals when they evolved into championship contenders a few seasons ago. It just so happens that current Tennessee Titans coach Brian Callahan was the offensive coordinator in Cincinnati during those years, which is why advocating for this marriage isn't a bad idea. Hilton is feisty and a leader, which are 2 qualities the Titans need badly. The team does have a solid player in the slot already, which is Roger McCreary, and he's embraced that role after struggling as an outside corner, but he's also the only option at that position on the depth chart. Finding more able bodies in the secondaries is a must. And now if you talk about Mike Hilton, like you look at this Titans core, they don't have anybody that's over the age of 30. They're all extremely, and I mean extremely young. I think you need some guy that is going to provide that veteran leadership like that CJ Mosley that I just talked about, like a Mike Hilton. Because L'Jarius Sneed, Jarvis Brownlee Jr., Roger McCreary, yeah, these are all solid guys. But I would much rather prefer a guy that is over. You have to have one veteran on this team, just one in your cornerback room that can teach these guys. Because if L'Jarius Sneed is your cornerback one, yeah, that's talent-wise, but is he going to get better each and every single year? I don't really know about that. Mike Hilton, he's been in the NFL for a while. And if you look at his coverage stats, not bad. Only allowed 3 touchdowns, 5 PBUs. The quarterback rating is something that we should kind of flag. But with Brian Callahan knowing Mike Hilton and having to coach an offense where you have a guy guarding him, I think that would be perfect for the Titans to bring him in. And now, talking about L'Jarius Sneed, he hasn't lived up to the expectations that you traded for him, but he also has a civil suit that we don't really know what's going to happen with that one. The case is in June. We'll figure that out. And I would bring in a corner that can lead like Mike Hilton. You need someone, just give me one guy that's like 29 years old, 30 years old to bring on this quarterback. I don't want a bunch of 2-year, 3-year vets. I want a guy that's been here for a while, a guy that's been to the Super Bowl. That's who I would want on my team. I'm asking you guys, would you guys sign Mike Hilton? To be a reunion for the head coach and for the cornerback. I know he was offensive coordinator at the time, but you got to work with those cornerbacks a lot because obviously you're playing offense. You're trying to throw right on his head. We're going to get into our last one in just a second. But if you want to get your Titans jerseys, you can get them today. You can get your Cam Ward jersey right now. Chatsports.com/Ward. These are beautiful. I love the blue. Chatsports.com/Ward. I'm going to put this in the comments and description of today's video. You can get yours today. Support the show. Support the Titans. The last one, it's kind of a reach. I'm not going to lie. It's Nick Chubb. And I said it before. You've heard me on the channel. You've heard in multiple videos talk about running backs. And I think the Titans could benefit with another running back on the roster. You drafted Khalil Mullings out of Michigan. But with the late round draft pick like him, I'm not sure if that's going to be the guy. Now, Nick Chubb, injury history, not good. Not good whatsoever. You see in 2024, 102 carries, 332 yards, 3 touchdowns, only the longest run of 19 yards. He is very, very, very injured. But if you look at the Titans' depth chart, you need to improve. You have to improve. Tony Pollard is a very, very solid running back one. But you cannot have Tajay Spears being the pretty much replica of Tony Pollard as your running back two. Julius Chestnut at 3, you have Khalil Mullings at number 4. I expect the Titans to kind of have probably 3 running backs on this roster come August. But when Chubb is healthy, I mean, best running back in football, borderline. 1,500 yards. 2021, 1,300 yards. It's just 10 games in the last 2 seasons is just... Do we really think he's ever going to get back to that moment, that type of athlete that he was after a horrific, and I mean horrific, knee injury? I don't know. I truly don't know. But in today's NFL, you need strength. You need the power back. You need the speed back. You need that duo. You need that third down running back. And I like Khalil Mullings. I think he's going to be on this team. I think he's going to make the roster. But I don't think he's going to be that guy just in year 1. I'm not 100% sure. So could you sign Nick Chubb to a 1-year deal, a 1-year prove-it deal? See if you still got it in the NFL, if you can still do this. I'd do that in a heartbeat with Nick Chubb any day of the week. So I'm going to ask you guys for our last question before we get on out of here. If the Titans signed Nick Chubb, let's see all the hypotheticals here. Let's see the hypotheticals. Rate the running back room. 1 being awful, 5 being, yeah, all right, and 10 being, oh my God, this is probably going to be like amazing. You let me know down in the comments section of today's video. And also, don't forget to subscribe on our way to 11,000 subs. Come on, hit that big red sub button. I'm your host, Brett Alper, and as always, tighten up.